Daf Yomi, Tractate Bava Batra, page 25b. Top of the page, actually, it's just a few words from the previous Amud Tanya. Rabbi Eliezer Omer Olam. It's taught in a brisa that Rabbi Eliezer says the world. Okay, now we're on top of 25b with the words Lech Sadra, Hu Dome, etc. The world, Rabbi Eliezer says the world is similar to a partially closed veranda, Sadra, enclosed on three sides, and the northern side of the world is not enclosed with a partition like the other directions. The sun begins its revolution in the east and passes to the south and the west, and once the sun reaches the northwestern corner, it turns around and ascends through the night above the sky to the east side and does not pass the north side. I don't understand. They're saying that the sun passes, the sun begins its revolution. I thought the earth revolves around the sun. So why are they saying the sun begins its revolution? What are they saying? Are they implying flat earth? It's weird. It says, Kivan shehagia chama etzel kemer rav stefanos nich besve ola lamala min arakia. I don't know. Anyway, I'm just reading it, I guess. And Rabbi Yehoshua says, the world is similar to a small tent, the Kuba, and it's another kiss from Hashem, I think. You know, Kuba, we had that in this week's Parsha. Kuba with the tent, you know, with Zimri and the Cosby, and then on Kubasa, like it's a word for stomach. It might be a little bit lower than that, but maybe the Torah wanted to use a clean language, maybe. But anyway, Rabbi Yehoshua says the world is similar to a small tent, and the north side is enclosed with a partition as well. But once the sun reaches the northwestern corner, it emerges from this small tent and circles and passes behind the dome outside the northern partition until it reaches the east. And once the sun reaches the northwestern corner, it turns around and ascends throughout the night above the sky. They're implying that the sun moves by itself over the earth. It's totally strange. Okay, as it is stated, the sun also rises and the sun goes down and hastens to its place where it rises again. It goes toward the south and turns about to the north. Round and round goes the wind. And on its circuits the wind returns. Ecclesiastes 1, 5, and 6. The verse is understood as describing the sun's movements as follows. It goes toward the south during the day and turns about to the north on the outside of the firmament at night. Round and round goes the wind, and the wind returns again to its circuits. As the word ruach can also mean direction or side. But I didn't know that. Rabbi Yehoshua explains that these are the face of the east, the face of the west. Sometimes, in the short winter days, the sun turns about them without being seen, and sometimes, in the long summer days, it traverses them visibly. The Batra continues. He would say, before continuing its citation, the Gemara interjects, in this statement, we arrive at the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer that the world is like a partially enclosed veranda. The Gemara resumes its citation of the Batra. There is proof from a verse that the north side is open. Out of the chamber comes the storm. This is the southern side that forms a room with the other two sides, and cold out of the dispersed parts. Job 37, verse 9. This is the northern side, which is open, and from which a cold wind comes. By the breath of God, ice is given. This is the western side, and the breath of the waters is straightened. Job 37:10. This is the eastern side, from which the rains come. The Gemara asks, but doesn't the master say that the southern wind raises showers and causes herbs to grow? The Gemara answers that this is not difficult. This is referring to rain that falls gently, which waters plants and brings growth. That is referring to a downpour of rain that causes damage. Rav Chisda said, what is the meaning of that which is written, out of the north comes gold? Job 37:22. This is the northern wind, which devalues gold by causing a drought that raises the price of grain. And in addition, it says, you who lavish gold out of the bag. Isaiah 46, verse 6. Rafram Bar Papa says, that Rav Chisda says, from the day the temple was destroyed, the southern wind has not brought rain. As it is stated in the description of the destruction of the temple, he decrees on the right, and there is hunger, and consumes on the left, and they are not satisfied. Isaiah 9, verse 19. This means that God decreed that the southern wind, which is called right, shall bring famine with it. And it is written north and right, you have created them. Psalm 89, verse 13, this proves that the term right means south. And Rafram Bar Papa says that, Rav Chisda says, from the day the temple was destroyed, the rains no longer descend from the good storehouse, as it is stated, the Lord will open to you his good storehouse, the skies, to give the rain of your land in its season. Deuteronomy 28:12. In a time when the Jewish people perform God's will, and the Jewish people are settled in their land, rain descends from the good storehouse. In a time when the Jewish people are not settled in their land, rain does not descend from the good storehouse. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak. Rabbi Yitzchak says, one who wishes to become wise should face south, and one who wishes to become wealthy should face north. I sleep face north. One who wishes to become wealthy should face north. And your mnemonic for this is that in the temple, the table which symbolized blessing and abundance was in the north, and the candelabrum which symbolized the light of wisdom was in the south of the sanctuary. Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi says, one should always face south, as once he becomes wise, he will subsequently also become wealthy, as stated with regard to the Torah, length of days in her right hand, in her left hand are riches and honor. Proverbs 3:16. Okay. The Gemara asks, but Rabbi Yehoshua ben Levi says that the divine presence is in the west. How then can one pray facing south? The Gemara explains that one should turn aside slightly so that he faces southwest. Rabbi said Travashi, An individual such as you who lives in the north of Eretz Israel should face south when you pray. And from where do we derive that Babylonia is located to the north of Eretz Israel? As is written in the prophecy concerning the destruction of Jerusalem by the Babylonians out of the north, evil shall break forth upon the inhabitants of the land. Jeremiah 1:14. The Mishnah teaches that one must distance from vegetables the water in which flax is steeped, and distance mustard from bees. A sage taught that Rabbi Yossi permits one not to do so in the case of mustard, because he can say to the beekeeper, "Before you tell me distance your mustard from my bees, I tell you distance your bees from my mustard, as they come and eat my mustard plants." In other words, you are also doing damage to my property, since they are each causing damage to each other. Neither can force his neighbor to move. Okay, Mishnah. One must distance a tree 25 cubits from a cistern, and in the case of a carob or sycamore tree whose roots extend further, one must distance the tree 50 cubits. This is the halacha whether the cistern of it or tree is located above or to the side of the other. If the digging of the cistern preceded the tree, the owner of the tree cuts down the tree, and the owner of the cistern pays him money. If the tree preceded the cistern, the owner of the tree need not cut down the tree. If it is uncertain whether this came first or that came first, the owner of the tree need not cut down the tree. Rabbi Yossi says, if the cistern preceded the tree, the owner of the tree need not cut down the tree. This is due to the fact that this one digs in his own property, and that one plants in his own property. Gemara, the Talmud says, the Gemara discusses the Mishnah statement that a tree must be distanced if it is above a cistern. The sages taught this is the halacha, whether the cistern is below and the tree is above, or whether the cistern is above and the tree is below. The Gemara asks, granted, if the cistern is below and the tree is above, it will cause damage as the roots extend and damage the cistern when they breach its walls. But if the cistern is above and the tree is below, why should he have to distance the tree, considering that the roots extend downward? Rabbi Chaga says, the name Rabbi Yossi, he must distance the tree because its roots from holes in the ground, and its roots form holes in the ground and ruin the floor of the cistern. Rabbi Yossi says, even if the cistern produced the tree, the owner of the tree need not cut down the tree. This is due to the fact that one digs it in his own property, and that one plants in his own property. Yehuda says that Shmuel says the halacha is in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Ashi said, when we were studying the study hall of Rav Kahana, we would say that Rabbi Yossi concedes with regard to one's arrows. In other words, one must distance his activities from his neighbor if his actions will cause immediate damage to his neighbor, even if he is acting on his own property. Gemara relates that a man called Papi Yonah was poor and became wealthy. He built a mansion on his land. There were these sesame seed pressers in the neighborhood who would work, and when they would press same sesame seeds, their activity would shake his mansion. He came before Rav Ashi to complain. Rav Ashi said to him, when we were studying in the study hall of Rav Kahana, he would say that Rav Yossi concedes with regard to one's arrows here too, because the sesame seed pressers cause immediate damage. They must distance themselves. Vikama, the Gemara asks, and how much must the mansion shake for the lawyer to have the right to compel the sesame seed pressers to distance themselves?